Knockout legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. So, for the past couple of days, I've been hearing about Joshua versus Nggannou, and I was going to do another video already before that, but obviously because of this new announcement, I can't really do the video, but I may still put the video out anyway. But anyway, I'm going to cover the Francis Ngannou versus Joshua announcement for, I think it's March 9th, with this Talksport interview with Adam Catterall, and basically he addresses a few things. Now I'm going to play the interview and then I'm going to unpack everything after. So with no further ado.
This is what I want to come for. I've come forget football.
Yeah.
What's the news?
The news is
that
fresh off the back of his victory against Otto Wallin,
he's feeling good.
On the 23rd of December. The man is feeling fresh. He's got some new perfumes for Christmas. He's smelling good. He's looking good.
Yeah.
He's now letting his hands go and he's starting to hurt some people once again.
Yeah.
He's taking on former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Blimey.
Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, March the 9th, Saudi Arabia. Bish, bash, bosh. To close out the Riyadh season, we said, if you've been listening to the Fight Night show and various things that I've been doing, we said that the way that this has all been set up, they would have some type of showcase to finish the Riyadh season, which has been a celebration of all things Saudi Arabia over the last 6 months. And it looks like the showcase is going to be Francis Ngannou opened up Riyadh season with Tyson Fury. He's also going to be on the finale, this time against Anthony Joshua.
Decent.
Now,
what's the dates on that?
March the 9th.
March the 9th.
And obviously before that, on February 17th, we're going to see Tyson Fury taking on Alexander Usyk for the undisputed championship of the world, which everybody's dead excited about. So, you want my thoughts, don't you? You want to get stuck in here, man?
Yeah.
I can see your face light up with the thought of this.
Look, can I say my thoughts first?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, so look, I'm not no boxing expert, but that Ngannou fella, he seems like a real problem.
Yeah.
Like, he gave... Did Fury train properly for that fight?
He'll tell you he did.
He did struggle. He did struggle. And he dropped him, and maybe he just underestimated him. So, being that was the first outing, obviously AJ is going to be going, do you know what? I fancy him because I can see how he boxes now, and I'll probably knock his head off.
Yep.
But credit to Fury, he had to go in kind of blind.
Yep.
Because he didn't have anything to go on. So, this time, maybe AJ gets the better of him, but it's going to be a hard fight because this guy is made of nails, mate.
Right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they made Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, I'm on record saying it's an absolute farce of a fight. I stand by it. It was a farce of a fight. The WBC heavyweight champion of the world should not be fighting somebody on their boxing debut, especially when you have a ranking system littered with many, many fighters of who you could fight. You've chosen not to. You've decided to take a nice, easy payday against the former UFC heavyweight champion who has never boxed in his life before. You take it lightly, and he ends up nearly showing you up. Let's be dead straight. Anybody that was backing Francis Ngannou going into the Tyson Fury fight was backing him because of the power that he possesses. You thought, if you were backing him, not many people were, I most certainly wasn't, but you thought that he might be able to knock Tyson Fury out. He put him on his backside, and most importantly that evening, he surprised the whole world, me included, by showing some serious boxing acumen. The kid shaped up very, very nicely, and he actually looked for large percentages of that fight, a boxer, and outboxed Tyson Fury in key elements of that fight.
Yeah, he looked in control in certain elements.
There's not one person, anybody with hindsight off the back of that now saying, oh, we told you so. No, you didn't tell us. No, nobody told us that. Nobody said that.
No.
Nobody on the planet knew that Francis Ngannou could box like that against that version of Tyson Fury. And I stress that version of Tyson Fury.
I like that.
Because that version of Tyson Fury did not take that fight seriously.
No, of course not.
They'd already booked a fight for December 23rd for Tyson Fury because they thought the first fight was going to be that easy.
Yeah, he was talking about other fights already.
Mate, he was rocking up, didn't take it seriously, and he nearly got found out. Luckily, he's a pretty good boxer, he's Tyson Fury, so he can figure it out on the fly and come through against a guy that has never boxed before. However, that night changed everything. When Frank Warren tells us that there's game changes in this game, technically he is right because of that particular moment. The WBC for whatever they're worth, has decided now to rank Francis Ngannou off the back of a loss, ladies and gentlemen. Just let me point that out. Off the back of a loss. Yeah. They have ranked him in their top 15. So therefore, now he can become a voluntary for the WBC champion if they so wish to fight for the title. Because if you remember, Fury versus Ngannou was a non-title fight because they couldn't sanction it. Now, we can sanction it now because we want our 3% of the sanctioning fee. That's what they want to do. So they changed the game for Francis Ngannou. They've legitimised him as a boxer. Wow. But let's get straight about this. The element of surprise has now gone. You now know that the lad can actually shape up as a boxer. We already knew that he had the power, so therefore you're going to approach it with a little bit more of a serious attitude. Anthony Joshua is coming off the back of a very good win against Otto Wallin. He looked fantastic on December the 23rd. Yeah. He's now letting his hands go again. He absolutely beat Otto Wallin into submission. He's feeling himself.
Has he not got a new trainer as well?
He's just teamed up with Tyson Fury's old trainer, Ben Davidson. Ooh. It's working. That partnership is absolutely working. Now, Anthony Joshua's noise has been, I want to be a 3-time heavyweight world champion. Yeah. And there's likelihood that will happen in 2024 because of the politics of the game. The IBF belt that is connected to Fury versus Usyk will become vacant after that fight. How quickly that happens, nobody knows. Will it be vacant by the time we get to March? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So it's with sense that Anthony Joshua has to do something to keep this momentum flowing. Yeah. Why not go and do what Tyson Fury couldn't do? Everybody's got this big thing about Francis Ngannou now. Whoa, he's a big problem for the heavyweight division. Is he? Is he really? Or did he just have the element of surprise on that particular night? My bet is that he had the element of surprise on that particular night. If the Anthony Joshua that turned up against Otto Wallin on December 23rd turns up on March the 9th against Francis Ngannou, he will beat him, and he will beat him handily. And therefore, that creates momentum pushing us forward towards a super fight that we've all been dreaming about at the end of the year. Because what will happen is that AJ will beat Ngannou on March the 9th. He will then propel himself into a summer showdown with Filip Hrgovic for a vacant IBF world title. He will win that. And then, at the end of the year, the winner of the Fury Usyk situation, because there's going to be 2 fights. One's in February. Next one will probably be maybe around August, September. Yeah. The winner of that double fight will then hold 3 of the championship belts. AJ will have the other one. Do you want to do another undisputed fight at the end of the year? If it's Tyson Fury that is the man that is holding those belts, him versus Anthony Joshua then all of a sudden becomes the biggest fight of a generation.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
That is how this is going to play out. That is how I think this now navigates itself. So for anybody coming at me saying, well, you weren't consistent here, you were saying that when Tyson Fury fought Francis Ngannou, it was a joke. It was. I stand by that. It was a joke. Now, this, because the game has completely changed over this last 6 months, it has now set up a perfect narrative for Anthony Joshua to go and do what Tyson Fury couldn't do and point himself in the direction of becoming world champion again, of which then sets himself up a showdown with Fury, maybe at the end of next year, for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world.
So, from the clip there, there's quite a lot to unpack. Now, Adam gets into the fundamentals about the initial Tyson Fury versus Ngannou fight, and when it was first announced, all the furor that it caused, and he still stands by what he said it was. It was a farce, and I agree wholeheartedly at the time, because it was a money grab, easy fight, good way to warm up for the Usyk fight, and just Fury being Fury, trying to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work possible. Then, because he didn't train and he didn't take Francis serious, he got exposed and got found out. Now, to Fury's credit, and I know a lot of people will still say what they say, he did beat Francis. He made a hard night's work of it, and he didn't take him serious, and he didn't train properly, and he got put on his ass, but he did beat him. He outboxed him. Apart from that blip, and then the few times where Ngannou ate up the punches and rolled punches and then stuck it on him, Fury did enough to win. Just about. I'd say he won probably by maybe 2 rounds, maybe 1 round, if that. But he did just about win. But anyway, perception is key. and especially in the eyes of boxing fans, it's easy to get swayed. But anyway, the interesting thing about this Anthony Joshua fight is leading up to the Ngannou fight, everyone assumed that he'd be fighting Hrgovic next because obviously he beat Otto Wallin. And again, there's a parallel and extremes there with the Tyson Fury versus Wallin fight. And Joshua's already put on his, I think, social media, the contrast because Fury played with his food and Joshua finished his food. So the parallel there between the two fighters, again, it's going to come up in March 9th when Joshua fights Ngannou. Now, I already mentioned if Joshua fought Ngannou, that it's not I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion, but I do back Joshua to beat Ngannou pretty easily. And I also, in some aspects, I kind of pick him to knock him out. Now, I don't think he'll knock him out solidly, but he'll beat him into probably a submission where he might get tired and then he lines him up and knocks him out. Or Ngannou gets reckless and then walks onto a big punch. But Joshua's going to beat him, and he's going to beat him soundly, and he's going to embarrass Fury again. So the parallels again when the two fighters get measured up again are going to be very, very telling. Now, to all the Fury fans that keep slating Joshua and saying this and saying that and saying whatever, he's going to get found out again, Fury. And as we know, with the Usyk and Fury fight, there's going to be 2 fights. At the very least, maybe even more. But whoever the winner of it is, that comes out of the Fury, of the fire, of the ring of fire, will be facing Joshua after he beats Hrgovic, which I do believe he will. Now, moving on to what Adam Catterall saying about the WBC adding Francis to the top 15 after a loss, and he's debuting as a pro boxer, and he has never had any amateur fights. It just shows you boxing at its best. Suleiman want the 3% because it's going to be in Saudi. It's going to be a big fight. It's going to make a lot of money. Stick him in the top 15. If he does well, he can get a title fight or get like up within the rankings to get a mandatory spot or whatever. And it's a bit rich, isn't it? Because we've seen this already with the WBC giving certain fighters as much time as they want to do what they want, so long as they get their cut, their 3%, and it scuppers the plans. Because how can Deontay Wilder lose twice and still be the number 1 for the WBC? It doesn't make any sense, but it's about money. Get Wilder there in the top echelon, then if he fights somebody else for a mandatory spot, big money, 3%. They're all them 3% of so many millions. You're making a lot of money. Greed, man. It's greed. It's greed. And I think that's why certain other fighters don't get the chances they get, because of the marketability. If they had the marketability of certain fighters like Wilder, Fury, Joshua, Usyk, then they'd get ranked higher, I suppose. And now with Ngannou, because obviously there's the big popularity around him, and him being the ex-UFC champion as well, there's that. So the popularity there, it's what sells. So we're getting this Mayweather effect with certain fighters, where if the WBC can cash in on the fighters and the fight with other fighters that make money, they'll do so. Now, Eddie Hearn was crying for this fight with Ngannou once Fury had the problems he had, and quick to throw the boot in and throw his 2 pence in, and it seems like now he's got what he wanted, and Josh was getting what he wants as well. And to be fair, I'm kind of glad, because it gives Ngannou the chance to make more money than what he would ever dream of making, because in the UFC, as we know, they get capped and they don't make as much money as the pro boxers. So now he's going to be making good money. He's going to be making really good money for the effort that he's put in. And it's weird, the UFC, you go through probably more physical, telling, damaging blows to the body that can probably end your career and probably end your life a lot quicker and cause damage to your body and leave you out of commission for probably a longer period of time than boxing, but you get less money. But that's down to the genius of Dana White and the way he structured the UFC. Because if anyone who's watched the original UFC, it was a tournament. It was a knockout tournament. There was no weight classes. There was no rules. It was any martial art versus any martial arts. The only rules there were in the original one was no eye gouging, no biting, and I think no attacking the groin area. Apart from that, you could do whatever you want. I remember watching people getting elbowed in the head, getting the head caved in, people getting stamped on by the head by 18-stone kickboxers and getting knocked out. You know, it was brutal. It was brutal. It was brutal. And, you know, you had like, I think it was a 24-stone sumo wrestler versus, I think it was like a 12-stone Savate fighter who kicked the shit out of the guy and blinded him. But the point I'm trying to make is the UFC's come a long way since then. And obviously the brutal way that the tournament was conducted, then the way it got shaped and pushed, where jiu-jitsu and the wrestling style of Brazilian jiu-jitsu become the top martial arts in a to a degree where it dominated everyone, because once you could choke somebody out or you could get them into certain locks, they couldn't do anything. And a lot of people were pretty ignorant to obviously that style of martial art, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because it's a niche martial art that's been taken from Japanese jiu-jitsu and then basically perfected in like in the Brazilian forum. So it changed, so it become its own subcategory within that martial art. But anyway, moving back onto the Adam Catterall interview, and some of the things he says are pretty pertinent and pretty true. Like Joshua has to kind of like, Joshua doesn't really have the element of surprise like Fury did, and now that he knows how Francis is going to fight, he's got a better chance of basically taking him serious and figuring him out. And I already said this in prior videos, I wouldn't be surprised if Joshua knocks Francis out. And I'm not saying it because Francis is not a good athlete and an elite competitor. It's the fact that Joshua is a seasoned professional boxer, and his height, his weight, his reach, and obviously the last performance that he had and the performance before that are going to be telling. So he's going to want to make a statement. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, once he gets Nggannou lined up, go for a knockout or go to hurt Nggannou. Now, everyone says that he took all these shots and took all the power. But yeah, but I'm not saying Fury doesn't hit hard, but Fury doesn't hit hard as Joshua. The knockout percentages between the two fighters are totally different. And Fury's only become this knockout merchant in the last, I think it's 4 fights, maybe. Is it 4? The 2 Wilder fights, the Dillian White fight, and I think the Derek Chisora fight. They're the last where he's actually hurt his opponents and knocked them down. So, and with White, he had to tire White out before he could line him up, and then got him with the uppercut. And by then, I'd say White was, his jaw's already suspect anyway. You know what I mean? So you're knocking out a guy that's probably got a paper mache chin at this point, because it's been depreciated that much by the punches that he took off Povetkin, that obviously it's one of them. But again, like certain other YouTubers explain, the hard sparring and the hard fights that White had, that David deteriorated his chin, and obviously the reckless nature and the way he does things, it's not helped in the sport of boxing. So, you know, some aspects it's giving him the dog, but in other aspects it's weathered his chin. So the dam's burst. But anyway, this fight will be good for the build up to the next undisputed fight. It's just a case of how many fights will Fury and Usyk have, and what are they contextually contracted to? Is it 2 or is it 3? So that's going to be the case whether we get the actual mega fight which we want, which is going to be Fury versus Joshua, which is basically an all British fight, a grudge match, and it's North versus South, and also it's bragging rights to say who is actually the best, because we know Fury can't stand Joshua, and at this point now Joshua is throwing the needle in because of the comparisons, and obviously with him now fighting Nggannou, so he's trying to upstage Fury and make him look bad, and obviously Fury wants to basically end this era as the best and go down in history and probably retire as the best of this generation if he can. So it's going to be an interesting conclusion probably to the end of the year if we get the proper undisputed fight, what we're supposed to get. But anyway, leave your thoughts in the comment section and tell me what you think about this, and do you agree with Adam Catterall's comments, and who actually wins in the final showdown if Fury and Joshua meet for the proper undisputed fight. So leave your comments in the comment section. I must stress, please like, comment and subscribe. And that is another one from Knockout Legends. Peace.